Well, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff has joined the calls for President Biden to drop out of the 2024 presidential race. Schiff is the highest-ranking Democrat to make this push so far. And in a statement obtained by CBS News, a California lawmaker says, quote, Joe Biden has been one of the most consequential presidents in our nation's history, and his lifetime of service as a senator, a vice president, and now as president has made our country better. But he goes on to say, our nation is at a crossroads. A second Trump presidency will undermine the very foundation of our democracy, and I have serious concerns about whether the president can defeat Donald Trump in November. I want to bring in now CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion on Capitol Hill. So, Nikole, how significant is the fact that Adam Schiff has joined in the calls for President Biden to drop out?
Well, significant in the sense that he is a prominent House Democrat. Obviously, he served at one point as an impeachment manager, was a member of the January 6th Select Committee, so he has been very clear about his opposition to former President Donald Trump and believes that at the end of the day, he would like to see him defeated in November. But as he expressed in a statement that we obtained, he says that he has some serious concerns about the president's ability to be able to do that, saying our nation is at a crossroads. A second Trump presidency will undermine the very foundation of our democracy, and I have serious concerns about whether the president can defeat Donald Trump in November. I am told, this decision was Congressman Schiff's alone, that he did put a lot of thought into this and did give the Biden campaign a heads up before providing this statement initially at first to the Los Angeles Times.
And Nikole, Representative Schiff is a bold-faced name. What are you hearing from other Democrats? How is this news being reacted to there on the Hill?
Well, obviously, he just put out the statement and members are out of session right now. But certainly we know that prior to recess, there had been growing calls from particularly many House Democrats for the president to step aside, nearly 24 in all. And this, of course, comes as the president over the weekend met with a number of key constituencies last week, having a call, for instance, with the Congressional Black Caucus, and then over the weekend, meeting with everyone from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and their campaign political arm, Asian American lawmakers, progressive lawmakers, and also members of the New Democrat Coalition, which represents a pretty wide swath of members in the House Democratic Caucus. And of course, that comes after the president also met with Leader Hakeem Jeffries late last week, also with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer over the weekend. So there really has been a lot of outreach on the part of the president and the Biden campaign to try to connect with members and address their concerns. And obviously we saw after the Trump assassination attempt over the weekend, some of those calls are really starting to quiet among Democrats. But now, there does appear to be kind of a bubbling up of some of the sentiment. It may have abated temporarily, but it hasn't necessarily quieted some of those concerns among congressional Democrats, now evident with this statement today from Congressman Schiff.
Yeah, and Nikole, I have to ask you something, too, about the timing and what the DNC is trying to do, because Schiff's announcement comes just hours after the DNC said that it would move forward with a video call to nominate Biden. Earlier, the DNC was pushing to get it done in July. Now it's slated for August. All of it sort of is being met by people who oppose it with a lot of skepticism about locking this up before the convention. What more do you know?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we did know that there was actually a letter circulating among congressional Democrats urging DNC members to hold off on what they felt was an accelerated roll call, although today the DNC kind of pushed back against that and said that they have no plans to conduct any type of virtual roll call, at least this month, that it's more likely next month ahead of the convention. And, DNC officials explained that is in part because of some nuances with respect to the Ohio ballot and having to do this roll call and officially nominate the president before a deadline in Ohio to ensure that his name appeared on the ballot, although some lawmakers kind of pushed back against that, suggesting that, that situation had been worked out, so there's really no need for a roll call. But that being said, again, the DNC kind of making clear that they will now carry out this virtual roll call at some point next month. And interestingly, just a short time ago, we did learn, in addition to this letter that was circulating among congressional Democrats that we're now told will no longer go out, we were told that, according to sources familiar, that both Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries pushed for this delay in terms of the DNC roll call. So that is a new development, although, again, the DNC insisting they will not move forward with this until sometime next month ahead of their convention.
All right, a lot happening there on an otherwise what should normally be a very quiet July. All right, Nikole, thank you.
We never say the word quiet, Lana.
No,
Never say the word
it.
quiet.
Thanks, Nikole.
You bet.